Hey everyone, Dave here with this month's extra Blu-ray DVD collection / haul video for the month of October-November 2021. Again, there have been massive delays in titles being sent in because Ozpost's system is absolutely fried and jammed at the moment, and there's been massive 2, 3, 4, 5 week delays on some packages. So I'm a little bit behind and it's been a little bit hard to keep up. But this is the month's extra video, which means we're covering the titles that I have personally picked up for myself over the last month. There's not a lot of them, so I'm also throwing in a bunch of new releases from kicks.com.au. We're going to be taking a look at all of these in this video. Let's get into it. Alright, so here we are with this month's extra video. Again, as I have now started this new channel, Dave Lee Down Under Extra, where all of these Blu-ray DVD videos are now living. I am going to be doing this extra haul video every month where we will be covering stuff that I've personally picked up for myself, whether it be JB Hi-Fi or Amazon or eBay or any other, online retailers or anything like that. And every now and then I will chuck in a few other new release titles from some of the other distributors. It's just a way because I'm getting so much stuff sent in by the month now that these videos have been ballooning out to an hour and a half each. It's far too long. So this month we're actually splitting into 3 videos. I have previously put up this month's main haul video, which had all the new release titles from Viavision, Umbrella, Madman, Random Space Entertainment. I've also got another video going up, which is the imprint releases from this month, Viavision's imprint line. And then this video, again, we're covering titles that I have picked up personally myself, as well as some stuff from kicks.com.au. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we're going to be taking a look at the titles that have been sent in from my pals over at kicks.com.au. Don't forget, you can head over to kicks.com.au and use the promo code DAVE15 to get 15% off your entire order. That includes pre-orders and sale stock. Go over there and use that. That has been extended until the end of this year, 2021. So go over and use DAVE15. Now, of course, most of this month's titles are a selection of newly released, remastered 4K editions of classic catalog titles, which I'm very excited to look at, as well as a couple of new release titles as well. First, let's take a look at some newer release movies. First up, we'll take a look at this one. It is Don't Breathe 2. This is the sequel to Don't Breathe that's just been released on 4K. And there's a Blu-ray version available as well, and a DVD version as well, I'm sure. I haven't watched the first one, so I haven't watched the second one just yet. Apologies to my friends over at Kicks. I do have the first one, and I have to watch it, and I'm going to watch them both kind of back to back. I've heard kind of mixed things about this. Apparently, it's absolutely brutal. It's rated MA15+ for strong, bloody violence. So as far as I'm aware, it's not for the weak of stomach. In this thrilling sequel to the breakout hit, Norman has been hiding out for several years in an isolated cabin, lives with a young girl, and has recreated the family stolen from him by a drunk driver. Their quiet life together is shattered when a group of unseemly criminals kidnaps her. Norman is forced to tap into even darker and more creative instincts in an effort to save her. So it sounds pretty full on, but I'm kind of interested to give that one a go. I did pop the disc in, have a very quick look. Really great 4K image on this one. It is a movie that I'm imagining relies on very, very dark cinematography, as I could tell by the bits I've watched, and the black levels on it are absolutely terrific. So definitely pick that one up if you're a fan of your horror stuff. We have got Gunpowder Milkshake. This one came out on Blu-ray only. This would have been really cool to see on 4K actually. This is produced by the producers of John Wick, I believe, and it's kind of like a female, another one of these really great female action flicks where it's a big, great team up of female action heroes. Of course, Karen Gillan is in the lead right there. She is absolutely terrific. I love her. I think she's great, and I would love to see her in more leading roles like this. She's always got those smaller supporting roles. I want to see her do more stuff like this. We've also got Lena Headey in there, Carla Guino, Michelle Yeoh, Angela Bassett, and Paul Giamatti's in there doing a really weird kind of quirky role as well. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Really fun action adventure. It's like a quirky black comedy with crazy violent scenes. Full on just kind of It's comedic violence, so it's not too graphic or gory, but it is very full-on violence. And so if you're picture the kind of violence that's in John Wick. It's that same sort of comedic, satirical violence. It's not as graphic as John Wick, but it's that same kind of level. And I just found it fun. I just felt like a great classic, good old, like, pulpy action kind of film. Not terrific. The story's not great. It's stuff you've seen over and over and over again, but it's non-stop action. And I mean, for a Friday night, I sat down and watched this on a Friday night. It's exactly what I wanted. It's a real blast. But this is a lot of fun. So check that one out. I would have loved to see that on 4K because it's a very colourful movie, very colourful, and it's almost like a kind of like a noir in style, like a neo noir. So it also relies on a lot of great like shadows and stuff like that. So I think that would look cool on 4K, but nonetheless, it still looks really brilliant on Blu-ray. They also sent over Old. This is a new film from M. Night Shyamalan. This is the one where they go to a beach, or they're taken to a beach. They're on like a holiday. They're taken to this beach, and they realize that you turn old when you go onto this beach. I won't spoil it anymore because, as all good Shyamalan movies do, there's like twists and turns and all that kind of stuff. Not a great movie. This is one that's been very polarized. It's not great at all. Acting is really quite dreadful in this. It's very over the top and hammy, and the dialogue's really quite bad. It's non-stop, like the movie. It's a very fast-paced movie. It's not great, but the concept is cool, and the way that it's kind of pulled off is quite good as well. But it's not a terrific movie by any stretch. But I had fun with it and I enjoyed it, and I feel like it's one of those movies that is going to live on as kind of like a cult classic. You know, one of those movies that's kind of so bad it's good or enjoyable. You sit and you watch it and you just laugh the whole time. It kind of feels like one of those. But I had a decent time with this one, and I thought it was okay. And the 4K image, I mean, it's not a movie that really needs to be seen in 4K. Of course, there's some nice cinematography on the beach and stuff, and the fine detail is really great on it. But I feel like it's a movie you could probably just stick with the Blu-ray for and save an extra couple of bucks. But thanks to kicks.com.au for sending me over this one on 4K. I had some fun with this. This is also a newly released movie before we go on to the 4Ks and the remastered versions, all that stuff. This is a new film. I think this was released maybe this year, maybe last year, 2021. This was released. It's called 9 Days. Has a stellar cast. Winston Duke, Zazie Beetz, Benedict Wong, Tony Hale, and Bill Skarsgård. I haven't watched this yet. Apologies. As I said, I have had so much stuff. If you saw the previous video as well, I've had so many discs come in recently. They've all been delayed. I've been really struggling to kind of catch up with everything. And this one only arrived a couple of days ago, but I wanted to get into a video as soon as possible so it could be covered. But this sounds so wonderful. It has only been released here on DVD, which is a shame because this sounds like a movie that I think I'm going to really, really love. Winston Duke's character is this guy who monitors life on Earth, and when someone dies, it opens up a spot for another soul to enter Earth, and he ends up interviewing all these people. These people come to his door to vie for this spot on Earth. And he has to choose out of which of these candidates deserves to be born into the world. And this just sounds so great. And I feel like it's going to be a movie that I absolutely love. And it has got rave reviews. I'm looking on IMDb. It's got like a 7. And it just sounds so good. Unfortunately, as I said, no Blu-ray of this. I'm not too sure. I guess it's kind of maybe a little bit of a... Some of these smaller independent movies just don't tend to get Blu-ray releases over here. It just sounds like such a wonderful, gorgeous movie, and I'm really, really looking forward to watching this one. Again, apologies, I haven't had time to do that yet, but I did want to get this one covered because it's a brand new release movie and it just sounds so good. All right, before we get on to the 4Ks, we've got a new issue from the Classics Remastered collection on Blu-ray right here. This is a 1963 film called The Servant, which stars Dirk Bogarde, Sarah Miles, Wendy Craig, James Fox. Really wonderful film. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I haven't had a chance to pop this one in and take a look. I did very, very briefly. I haven't watched it, and it looks great. This is another, of course, the Classics Remastered Ranger, all remastered by Studio Canal, who do a really, really terrific job at remastering all these classic movies. This is a film about a aristocratic guy who hires a servant, and realizes that the servant might have ulterior motives, and through the course of the movie their roles kind of end up shifting, so the servant becomes the master and the master becomes the servant. It got really great kind of film noirish kind of filmic style, and it's just a really beautiful looking, really great dramatic film. I haven't seen it for quite a while, and I am keen to take a look at that once again. So that one right there is available right now from the Classics Remastered collection. Alright, so now let's have a look at the new 4K remastered editions that have just come out that you can get over at kicks.com.au. First up, we'll take a look at this one because this is also part of the Classics Remastered line. It is The Howling. This is a great horror movie from the early 1980s, 1981 I think, directed by Joe Dante, who's just such a terrific filmmaker. Stars Dee Wallace and Patrick Macnee. It is, of course, as you can tell by the cover, a werewolf movie. It's described on the back as one of the most original werewolf movies of the 1980s. Graphically violent, sexually explicit, and nightmarishly intense. Very, very keen to dive in. It's, again, one of those movies that's been a long time since I've seen, so I'm very keen to dive back into this. This is another one of those like 1980s werewolf movies that were very groundbreaking in the kind of special effects and the prosthetic makeups and all that kind of stuff that was utilized in it. Very similar to An American Werewolf in London, where, you know, the transformation sequences and stuff like that, very, very groundbreaking in terms of makeup and special effects and all that kind of stuff. And this is, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and this has just been released. The 4K looks great. I popped it in. Again, Studio Canal knocks it out of the park every single time. Gorgeously filmic looking movie. It is almost like a kind of a gothic horror kind of thing. So if you imagine like the classic Universal Monsters movies, kind of desaturated colors, a lot of dark shadows and bright lights, that kind of stuff. And it just looks absolutely beautiful in this 4K remaster, and I'm looking very much forward to watching the whole film in that format. We got this one right here. It is The Evil Dead, Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. If you remember a few months ago, I actually bought this on Blu-ray it was only like $4 or $5, I think. It was part of one of JB Hi-Fi's deals. I bought it, or maybe Amazon's, one of the Amazon buy one get one free deals or something like that. I still haven't watched it. But the transfer looks very good. Again, I popped it in and had a very quick look at it, and again, very filmic, really great grain, great balance between, you know, color balance and black levels, white levels, all that. Really, really wonderful. It is Sam Raimi's relentless, gore-splattered landmark in horror cinema. So I'm very, very, very excited to watch that. I still need to get my hands on, I think, Army of the Dead or Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness, I think, is the one that I don't have, because I have Evil Dead 2, and then Army of Darkness is what the second or third one, I'm not sure, but I gotta get my hands on that, and then I want to watch all of those. And next up, one of my favorite Al Pacino movies. It is Carlito's Way. This is a movie that teamed Pacino back up with his Scarface director Brian De Palma. It was made in the early 1990s, so in my head I always see this as like one of the later Pacino gangster films, but it's like nearly 30 years old now, so see it how you will, depending on your age. But yeah, I really, really love this movie. Sean Penn is in it too. Al Pacino plays ex-drug kingpin who gets out of jail and wants to set his life straight, but ends up getting pulled back in. That kind of classic gangster story. It is brutally violent. It is terrifically acted. Al Pacino delivers an absolutely powerhouse performance, and there's just so much great drama. The writing is terrific, and it was a screenplay by David Coop, who is just such a terrific screenwriter, and everything about it is great. And this is such a gorgeous transfer of this movie. Again, so very, very filmic. I mean, a lot of these really great gangster movies just pull up so well on this format because they're just so gritty, and that grittiness and that kind of even that overcast look of them and the filmic grain and the texture just gives them such a great atmosphere that is so beautifully encapsulated on the 4K ultra high definition format, particularly when you bring HDR into it and all that stuff. Such a beautiful, beautiful looking transfer. I couldn't recommend this movie highly enough. It is a classic, but I feel like it's one that hasn't gone down as as big of a classic as stuff like Scarface or Casino or, you know, any of the Martin Scorsese, you know, directed gangster flicks or The Untouchables or anything like that. I feel like this is kind of like one that gets a little bit forgotten half of the time, but I love this movie and I would highly recommend checking that one out, especially in this new beautiful remaster of it. Next up is John Carpenter's The Thing, and man, is this one of the best 4K transfers I've seen of a catalog title probably ever. This movie just lends it so gorgeously to the format. I remember when I first watched this movie, I didn't love it, but upon rewatch, I've found a greater appreciation for this movie. And I think more recently, I've watched quite a few of the John Carpenter movies. I think this was maybe the only one I'd ever seen of his when I first watched it. But I've watched quite a few more of his movies recently. I think I feel like what his movies are about now gives me more of an appreciation for this one. And of course, I'm such a huge fan of Kurt Russell as well. And this is just such a classic Kurt Russell performance. So yeah, this is a really, really, really good movie and a really, really, really good transfer. Again, all of these, I feel like I keep saying the same thing, but very filmic. And the great thing about the 4K format is that everything's just so crisp. And movies like this, I mean, this one was shot out in the snow, so there's very little color. It's pretty much black. It's almost like nighttime the entire film, if not nighttime the entire film. And that very, very stark contrast between the black night sky and the bright white snow. I don't think I've seen anything quite like it on the 4K format just yet. It is just a masterclass in that kind of color balance there. And there are really great sequences of explosions and they just look great with the HDR coloring. You know, there are these moments of just colorful moments, and they just pull up absolutely terrific with the HDR. So this is one that I would say is probably a must-have. It is a reference quality catalog title. Go and pick this one up if you can. It's just such a blast of a movie too. Next up is a more recent release, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Now this is not a film that is particularly colourful. There are great moments of kind of explosive, kind of comic booky kind of things going on in there. But it's not a particularly colourful movie, so it's not one that wields the greatest benefits of HDR, but there are some really good moments in there where the colour does really pop. Black levels are really great on this one, and it does really have quite a nice filmic presentation about it as well, but it's not as heavily kind of like filmic or cinematic as maybe some of the older movies. There's not a great deal of kind of grain or anything like that present on this image. It is very kind of real crisp and natural looking. That said, the original Blu-ray of this, I remember being actually quite dated. That was released a number of years ago, and I remember revisiting it not long ago and thinking that the transfer was actually quite a bit dated. So this is a nice markup from that, particularly when it comes to stuff like just the pure crispness of the image and the texture of it, and just everything it feels a little bit sharper. Because a lot of those old Blu-ray transfers, while great at the time, they feel very soft now to our eyes that we've been spoiled with some really, really terrific releases in more recent years. This is a really great movie. I'm so excited to delve into this properly again. I kind of just flicked through it and kind of got a good idea of the feel and the look of it. This is a movie that I watched before I knew who Michael Cera was. I had no idea who Brie Larson was. Chris Evans, you know, he was just like a comedy actor at the time. And there's just such a huge cast in here of so many people. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Anna Kendrick, Alison Pill, Brandon Routh, Jason Schwartzman. Just so many great people in this. And I'm so keen to dive back into this now that I know who all these people are and really watch it and appreciate it for the cult classic that it is. I'm really, really excited to dive into this. Of course, filmed by the great Edgar Wright, who made Last Night in Soho recently, which is just such a great movie. I loved it. So I'm actually keen to go back to some of Edgar Wright's kind of earlier stuff and take a look at that one in full. And finally from Kicks is another fairly recent title, and by fairly recent title, I'm in a movie that's about 12 years old now. It is Quentin Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds. I love this movie. It's up there as one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. I just absolutely love it. Brad Pitt is terrific in this. Christoph Waltz. It's so many other great actors in this one. It's just such a good movie. Quentin Tarantino's take on World War II sort of pulp action epics, and it's great. I'm surprised at how good this has pulled up on 4K. Of course, Quentin Tarantino shoots everything in the best possible film quality that he can. So his films are always naturally very filmic. So I was expecting this to be a very filmic looking movie, natural grain structure, all of that. And yes, it has all of that. But I was not prepared for how beautiful this looks color-wise. It's not an incredibly colourful movie, but it does utilise really nice colours. A lot of it's shot outdoors, so really beautiful blue skies. It was shot during, the autumn time, during fall, so there's a lot of really great fall colours like the browns and the oranges and the greens of the leaves and the grass in France, and just all these really great natural colours are just absolutely bursting in this movie, and it's not something I've ever noticed before. I feel like it's just a movie that has just been given this added burst of life, and it feels so much brighter than it ever has before as well. It's just so glowing and luminescent, and in some respects I almost feel like at some point you feel like, well, maybe it's a lot brighter and more effervescent than the movie probably should look, but I feel like Tarantino particularly is very particular with his movies, and he wouldn't have signed off on this master if this was not what he wanted out there. I'm pretty sure we are in good hands here. This looks really beautiful, and it is a huge mark up above the previous Blu-ray. So if you do love this movie or you don't own this movie, this is a really, really terrific upgrade or a really terrific way to buy the movie. It's got pretty much all the bonus features that were present on the previous Blu-ray release, just ported across here. But there is an additional bonus that was not on the previous Blu-ray. It's like an hour-long roundtable with Quentin Tarantino, and it's just so fascinating. I could sit and watch him talk about just anything, for hours and hours and hours, because he's just so fascinating to listen to. But yeah, this is a really great movie, and it's a really, really fantastic 4K transfer, and I'm going to be watching this one over and over and over again because I love it so much. So thanks again to the incredible team that's fallen apart. At kicks.com.au. If you want to go and pick up any of these titles or anything else while you're there, head over to kicks.com.au. Use the code DAVE15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order until the end of 2021. Alright, so now let's take a look at a bunch of titles that I have personally picked up myself at various sales and just online in general over the last, I guess, couple of months. It's not a whole lot of stuff, so I thought I'd combine it with the kicks.com.au titles because they just kind of fit in together. Now, I'm looking at these and realizing how long ago I actually bought these, and that's how long it's been since I've done one of these videos. Now, these ones, I believe, were part of a buy one, get one free sale on Amazon. JB Hi-Fi did one at the same time, but I believe these all came from Amazon, and we'll take a very quick look at them here right now. I think these came to, I think they were like $4, $5 each, which is why I picked most of these ones up. This one right here is called The Last Full Measure. It's a war film, don't really know too much about it. Moving and powerful, unforgettable story about the Vietnam War and its aftershocks. It's Sebastian Stan, Christopher Plummer, William Hurt, Ed Harris, and Samuel L. Jackson. Really terrific cast. It's got some good ratings too online. It's a fairly recent movie, 2019. I'd never heard of it until I stumbled across it in their sale, and I thought that looks quite good. Why have I never heard about this? I don't know. So I've picked it up, and we're going to check that one out very soon because that looks really, really good. Next up, we have got Dirt Music, which is an Australian movie, fairly recent, released in 2019, directed by Gregor Jordan, who's a terrific Australian filmmaker. He directed one of my favourite Australian movies of all time, Two Hands, and Ned Kelly, and Buffalo Soldiers with Joaquin Phoenix. He directed as well. This is his latest movie. It stars Kelly MacDonald, Garrett Hedlund, and David Wenham. It's got kind of average mixed reviews. People are saying it's very, very melodramatic, it's long, it's kind of boring, and etc, etc. But I'm keen to check it out because I am a big fan of Gregor Jordan's work. When I was in high school, I actually interviewed him for a piece that I wrote. I think he was actually the very first interview that I ever did with someone who was kind of in the film industry. So fascinating to me. So I'm a big fan of his work, and I'm keen to check that one out. I think it'll be my kind of thing, because I like those kind of sappy, romantic kind of drama films. This one right here, Maggie, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Abigail Breslin. Did not like this. Did not like this one bit. It is a zombie movie that is not exciting. It's not interesting. It's very boring. How do you make a zombie movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger so boring and disinteresting? Nothing happens in this movie. There is this worldwide pandemic going around where everyone's turning into zombies. Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter turns into a zombie, and they decide to take her away to the log cabin while she has her final transformation, and then eventually like perishes or whatever. And they kind of take her away to kind of look after her. And it's just so boring. It's just so boring. Don't watch this movie. I only paid $4 for this, and I'm happy I only paid $4 for this. This is one of those ones that I've seen on the shelf. We've looked at JB Hi-Fi many times and gone, should we buy this? Then we look at the IMDb rating, and it's very low, and we're like, well, maybe not, maybe next time. I finally picked it up. What a waste of time. Don't bother with that movie. It's awful. And this one right here is actually quite good. I love this. Jennifer Lopez in second act. It's also got Vanessa Hudgens in there, and a really great cast. Leah Remini's in there as well, Treat Williams. It's just a really sappy, romantic comedy sort of movie where J-Lo plays like the girl boss at this perfume company, and she's going up against this young, upcoming girl boss as well, and they're warring with each other, and then there's something that, you know, flips the relationship, and they end up having to work together. That kind of thing that we've seen 100 million times before in these movies, but it's so much fun. I really liked it. I love Jennifer Lopez. I think she's great, and Vanessa Hudgens is terrific in this too. This is just an easy to watch movie, like on a Sunday night. Sunday nights, I like to put on a movie that is just easy and brainless, and this was that movie for that Sunday night, and I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it, so sue me. Now, this one I also picked up on Amazon. I think I paid maybe like $7 or $8 for this. For some reason, I was looking into this movie. I can't remember why. I think maybe I had watched some kind of horror movie recently that apparently was similar to this. I can't really remember. And I was curious to track it down. I found it on Amazon for $8. I thought, yeah, I'm going to check this out. And from what I've seen of it, it just looks really, really good. It is, of course, Suspiria. I'm not sure if I said the title of the film. But this is a remake of an old, like, 1970s Italian giallo film. Italian horror, kind of gruesome gore horror. It's got supernatural elements with witches and all that kind of stuff. But apparently it's very, very harrowing and very hard to watch. So I'm keen to watch it. I'm getting into this kind of stuff recently. I've not been a huge horror fan, but I like this kind of psychological thriller, horror, supernatural stuff. Really cool. As is usual with these remakes, you get people who come out and they say they hated it and it's not as good as the first. I've heard a lot of people say it's like as good as, if not better than the original. So I'm very much looking forward to this and maybe tracking down the original at some point too. I know Umbrella released it. I think it's out of print now though. Now, this one right here is called The Love Witch. This was imported from Amazon UK. On my podcast, if you listen to it, you know that we have a segment on there called Shite or All Right. It's a game segment we play where we get people to send us in really obscure movies on IMDb, and we read out the synopsis to each other, and we have to guess whether we think the movie is shite or all right, depended on just the synopsis alone. This was a movie that was sent in by one of our regular shite or writers, Devesh, who sent this one in to us to take part in it. And we read it, we looked at the trailer, we looked into it, and we thought this movie looks so damn cool. I had to track down a copy on Amazon UK. Probably paid a little bit too much for this. I think I paid like $21, but I really wanted to watch it. It is like it's a new movie. It looks like it was shot in the 1960s, 1970s. Going by the trailer, you would think that this was an old movie. This is like an homage to the classic Hammer horror films of the 60s and 70s. I guess she's like a witch. There's some sexuality stuff thrown in there as well. I guess some gore, some horror themes. Classic Hammer horror kind of stuff. And it just filmically looks like it has been shot in the 1960s, 1970s. A lot of these like movies where they try and emulate something of the past, they just look too modern. They've shot with modern cameras, modern lenses. The acting is just too modern or it's like trying to be something from everything about this just looks like it could have been shot back then, and that just really piqued my interest, and I'm just really keen to watch it because I just really want to check it out, even if it doesn't turn out to be a great movie. By all accounts, a few people I know who have seen it have said it's really great. Even if it's not a good movie, I am keen to just check this one out for the pure novelty of it all and the pure just, you know, beautiful filmmaking sort of tenacity towards making something like this. It really gets me excited, so I'm gonna check that one out. Also picked this one up from Amazon US. This is another one of the recent Paramount reissues. Of course, Paramount have been putting out tons and tons and tons of back catalogue titles on Blu-ray. Finally! All these movies that should have been put out on Blu-ray like 10 years ago are finally getting put out on Blu-ray now over in the States. And most of them are region-free. This one right here is one I have wanted to watch for years. Kevin Kline. It's called In and Out. It's also got Matt Dillon, Joan Cusack, Debbie Reynolds, Wilford Brimley, Bob Newhart, Tom Selleck. It's directed by Frank Oz. I'm just so keen to watch this. I think I've seen bits and pieces of it on television and really enjoyed what I saw, but I've never watched the whole movie. This one, I believe Kevin Kline plays a teacher who lives in like a very sleepy middle America town. He likes his quiet life. One of his ex-students is a world-renowned, very, very famous actor who wins an Oscar, and when he is accepting his Oscar on global television, accidentally outs Kevin Kline's character as being gay. Now, Kevin Kline's character obviously isn't out. He's actually about to get married to a woman, and now that his big secret is out there, it's about how he deals with this being taken away from him in a series of crazy comedic antics, I suppose. It sounds like a movie that probably wouldn't be made today, but I'm keen to see it because I love everyone who is in it, and it does sound just quite fun and charming. So I'm very much looking forward to checking that one out. And yeah, that one's just come out. I'm excited to finally get my hands on it. And finally, we've got two more collections right here, two animated collections. First up, we picked up this one right here. This is the Woody Woodpecker Screwball collection that's just been released by Universal. This is a collection of 25 classic Woody Woodpecker cartoons, and I've really been into collecting my classic animation on Blu-ray recently, and this is one that's just come out. I had to snap that one up straight away. There's so many more titles out there, like the Popeyes and Betty Boops and stuff I haven't picked up yet. A lot of the DePatie Freeling Enterprises films as well. I'm buying the ones that are now coming out, and then I'll go back and pick up the other ones later. But yes, I love Woody Woodpecker, so I had to prioritize this, and I love it. It's got some really great cartoons on there as well. So I'm looking forward to diving into that, and hopefully the presentations are going to be really nice on them. I also picked up Superman, the 80th anniversary collection. You wouldn't know by the look of this, but this was a brand new, good condition copy from Amazon US, and it arrived absolutely smashed up. Every corner is dinged, there's a massive scratch down the spine, and the case inside is damaged like that, which is absolutely wonderful. And I imagine, because this came in the same packaging as In and Out, which is in perfect condition, the box wasn't crushed, it didn't look like the box has been through the ringer or anything like that. I feel like this left, it's got massive scratches there as well. I feel like this left the warehouse damaged to begin with. So Amazon sent me basically a faulty product. I contacted them and they've offered me like a partial refund on that, which I did accept because that's really not. That's not good. I paid like $60 for this. Anyway, this has got a selection of Superman. These are the DC Animated Universe movies. And I think only 2 of them I actually did have in my collection. And all the rest of them I didn't have. And now there's only one more that I'm trying to get my hands on, which I think is like Justice League. It's one of the Crisis on Infinite Earth ones. I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of those Justice League ones. It's the only one I don't have on Blu-ray yet, or don't have at all. The last DC animated movie I need to get, I believe it's out of print, but I got to try and get my hands on that one. But I'm happy I did finally get all these Superman ones here, even if it's in really, really terrible condition. And at that is all the titles that I'll be covering in this video. Thanks again to the incredible team at kicks.com.au for sending out that fantastic selection of stuff. You can head over there and use the code DAVE15 to get 15% off your entire order, including sale stock and pre-orders. And a few other tiny little pickups that I got throughout the month as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will see you on the next one next month. Take it easy. I'll see you. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.